Hello and welcome to episode 3 of ZZRB Radio, shameless self-promotion podcast, where you get to hear all Zerb all the time, right here on my own little radio station that doesn't exist.
All Zerb all the time.
Thanks so much for listening. We got a lot to talk about today. All Zerb all the time, right here on ZZRB Radio. And we're going to start the show off with a big bunch of thank yous. A huge thanks to all those who donated via the Atari Game by Game podcast for the MS Walk. Sarah and Ferg raised $400 for the MS Society to help those with MS. I love you both so much, and I thank you so much for everything you've done for me and everybody that is inflicted with this disease. Thanks again to all who donated and helped. God bless you guys. A huge thanks to Eric Purcell for his push to help put the podcast on Google Play. His sense of humor and motivation push have been priceless. Thanks everyone who's been sending your thoughts in for the show, along with others as commented on Facebook, Google+, and Twitter. And as you might know, I'm not good at Twitter. I don't twit. I try to twit, but I'm not good at it.
More music radio.
Today we're going to run down 7 songs just like before and just like in the future.
Super hit one.
We're going to start off with number 1, A Day in the Life, written about 9 a.m. in the morning. And I'm not talking about that the song was written at 9 a.m. in the morning. I mean it was written about 9 a.m. in the morning. So sit back and relax and enjoy this song titled 9 a.m. off the album A Day in the Life, written in 2006. say it might be 9 a.m. in that song, but I'll tell you what time it is now? It's time for the hits of all time, right here on ZZRB Radio.
All hits of all time.
All right, the second song I'll play for you in a minute, but first I'm going to go to our first question that we received on Facebook for this particular show. Karen Giroux asked the history of Pop Goes the Weasel and also the same for the Mulberry Bush and Ring Around the Rosie. Can you answer those for me? In fact, how about a podcast about children's songs and their meanings and their origins? Great idea. Might have to do it for Look It, which is also found at www.zerbinator.wordpress.com. Head on over there for the Look It podcast. And Karen, thank you for your input. That will be one of the Look-Its I'll do very soon, the origin of children's songs. Karen, for now I'm going to give you the answer to Pop Goes the Weasel, and I'll work on the other ones for the Look It podcast. But it appears Pop Goes the Weasel was an English nursery rhyme. It has a Rod Folk Song Index number of 5249. That's some kind of index for children's nursery rhymes in Britain. It states that Pop Goes the Weasel was actually written around 1853 and it describes a dance called Pop Goes the Weasel, and it was performed for the Queen. Well, Karen, I want you to know that you're my queen, and I want to thank you for sending in that question.
Super hit, two hit.
All right, we're going on to song number 2, which is called This Way, off of the Break a Day album in 2005. Sit back and relax, get up and get down, right here on ZZRB Radio. you what, it's time for the quick recap of the weather today, even though I haven't given a first cap, but here it goes.
Weekend weather.
Today it's kind of gloomy outside, but it is beautiful because it is a spring day. Everything is nice and green and purple and pink and orange and yellow and every other color before I run out of breath. Across the lake you can see a beautiful place where they have some gardening done right outside of Rover's Bar. That's right, Rover's Bar. You want a barfly? You can definitely get one at Rover's Bar across the lake. Before going on to our next song, I'd like to go ahead and go to our next question sent in from Mr. Shannon Bowman. How do you play guitar? Well, you use your fingers, silly, said Mike Grosjean. Thank you, Mike, for answering that question. I think you all know how you play guitar. You pick it up and give it a shot. If you're good at it, stick with it. If you're not, what can you do? The good answer I have for Shannon is actually, I myself, having MS, the hardest part is playing guitar because the left side of my body is crap. So what I do is I slow down the music about a good 20 to 30 beats per minute slower, play the guitar slower, and speed it back up, and I sound like a guitar hero. Neato. I want to thank Mr. Bowman for sending in that question. Mr. Bowman and I have been friends a very, very long time, along with Mike Grosjean, who does play guitar, and Shannon plays guitar too. I don't want to shun on that, because he's very good, and so am I, and I'll prove it by playing our next song right here on ZZRB Radio.
Super hit, 3 hit, 3 hit.
Now, it's known across the United States that I sing because I have to, not because I can. But you're about to witness me singing right here on ZZRB Radio and the Shameless Self-Promotion Podcast. The next song is called Mind's Eye, and it comes off of the album Instrumentally Speaking, which is also a podcast I used to do a long time ago. This song was written in 2000. And I sing, and it talks about my mind's eye and what goes on in that eye, and try not to poke it because you'll revoke it. That rhymed, so be it. But you can't see it unless you have a mind's eye right here on ZZRB Radio.
Welcome to a place I like to be, a place that you can come and see me sitting down and jamming alone. Make yourself at home, make yourself comfortable, have a seat and be quiet, for the show is about to begin. Welcome to the intermission. This is where you'll find submission, and all your superstition shall be your ticket of admission. you have roamed. I'm glad you stopped on by to visit my mind zone.
Next question comes from Deb Carson, and she asked me, how long is a Chinaman's name? Well, you're right. How long is a Chinaman's name? Now, before I started recording onto disc CDs, I used to record on cassette tapes and pass them out like candy. Good.
Super hit 4, hit 4, hit 4.
So right now I'm going to play you a song that came off of my first CD titled It's About Time. This song is called The Little People, and it was written in 1996. Or it could have been written earlier and put on CD in 1996. Who knows? Yeah! The bottom line is, it's a song. I wrote it. It was inspired by Steve Vai's Little Green Men, and then I did my own Little Green Men. You know, I look forward to a day when little green men and Americans and Africans and Mexicans and Chinamans can all get along together. And I'm sure that day will come sooner than later. And thanks again, Deb, for asking that question. Enjoy The Little People right here on ZZRB Radio. Oh, what a way to end a song, right, fellas? You know what I mean. I don't know what that means either, but my next question comes from Tommy Sims, one of my oldest friends on the planet, and he asks, where does Kevin's seemingly endless well of songwriting come from? How is it possible that each sound is unique? And I know at some point you were writing 3 to 5 songs a day. How is it even possible that you have an inspiration to create? Okay, that was several questions, but you get my point, he says. You're right, Tommy, that was several questions, and I only asked for one, so I can't answer any of them. I'm kidding! The truth is, Tommy, that I have an overwhelming inspiration to create because of people like you. I love writing music for my friends and my family. I love sharing music with friends and family and people all over the world. If you notice, I always give away my songs for free because I am not selling my soul. That's right, it's part of me to give to part of you. And I also want you to know that it makes me feel good when people enjoy the music, and they say that it makes their day brighter, better, longer, happier, sadder, angrier, sucky, wonderful, terrible, happy. I said that already. It's okay. Right here on ZZRB Radio. It is true in my younger days that I used to write 3 to 5 songs a day, and now I'm down to about 1 every 2 weeks. And that's because I'm getting old. And the truth is, the reason that everything sounds so unique is because after I use a sound in a keyboard, I try not to ever use that sound again. I like making different sounds and different noises. Just ask my wife! Tommy, thank you so much for sending in your question, and you know that I love you very much, like a brother, if not something more. Maybe even a lover. Who knows? It's okay now, it's legal.
Super Hit 5, Hit 5, Hit 5.
And the next song is one that Tommy has heard before because he's heard every single song I've ever written. Poor guy. Here comes number 5, My Mind, off of the album Mastermind, which was released in 2001. My Mind is another one that I sang, and I hope you forgive me, but enjoy right here on Shameless Self-Promotion Podcast. Our next question comes from Mr. Bill Whittington, a new friend of mine who I also love dearly. Good guy, always makes me feel better when I see him. He asked the question, what is music? Well, you're listening to it.
The 24-hour excitement.
It's when you take tonal sounds and pitch them up and down in a certain rhythmic and melodic way to create a beautiful environment for the listener. Wow, I just made that up. I didn't read that in anything. I swear to you I didn't. I'm kind of proud of myself. And I'm proud of myself right here on CZRB Radio with our next song. Thank you, Bill, for writing in, by the way.
Super Hit 6, Hit 6.
Deep Inquiry. Thought that'd be appropriate for Bill's question. This song was written for an album called Octaves in 2007. Again, I'm singing, and again, I'm sorry. Right here on CZRB Radio. Thank you, Bill.
I've heard you cry out my name. I run to search for you, but then it's always the same. What am I supposed to do? You're blocked by other intent. Your thoughts preoccupying. I can't make one single dance. The castle's fortified. So blurry to you. Can Can you see me trying? The mud is in my eyes, blocking my point of view. Now I see, you see me.
Before we get to our last song called The Jumper off of the album Sprung in 2006, I'm going to go ahead and read the last question from someone who was born on my birthday, one of my closest friends I've never met in person, George Papa Theodoro. He and I were born on the same day in July, and even though we are exactly alike, we talk different. I think it's because we have several oceans between us. But otherwise, here's his question. George writes, "Who is your guitar and piano hero, and did they influence you on your songs?" This is something I ponder and ponder and ponder. It changes from time to time, but I guess I got to start off where I start off. Joe Satriani is somebody I tried to emulate when I started out on guitar. He was an amazing influence on what I did. I would always practice to his albums. And those who do play guitar, if you listen to Joe Satriani albums, you'll notice that the way his earlier albums came out, it gave you permission to play along with him. Almost like he's teaching you, even though he's putting out music to listen to. Pretty interesting. Check it out. As for piano, Billy Joel. Grew up on Billy Joel, loved Billy Joel. But I have to give my father the most credit because he played everything. He was a music teacher in the Navy, and he would play at home all the time, and my job was to try to impress him. And that went on for many years, and it worked. He really enjoyed my music, and I enjoyed his. He's why I listen to everything from Lawrence Welk to Metallica, to Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh to Olivia Newton-John. And one thing you need to know about my good buddy George Papa Theodoro, Shameless Self-Promotion Podcast Episode 5 is going to be all about his music. And he's going to be on the show. I am so excited to have George join me because he's one of my inspirations as well. Thanks for your question, George. And now on to song number 7.
Super Hit 7.
The Jumper. Written for the album Sprung. This song is about a gentleman standing on the edge of the building getting ready to jump. Does he do it? Does he not? It's up to you right here on ZZRB Radio. I want to thank you guys again for sitting with me through another episode of Shameless Self-Promotion Podcast, ZZRB Radio, all Zerb, all the time. The next episode will surround the new album I just released, Zerbatron Spring Memories. And what I'm going to do is have 2 songs from each album in the seasonal set. There's 4 to choose from: Zerbatron, Spring Memories, Fall Memories, Summer Memories, and Winter Memories. And I'm so glad to have that section finally done. Now I can move on to other ideas. That'll be next time on Shameless Self-Promotion Podcast. Remember, you can always write me questions at instrumentally@gmail.com, or you can call 571-408-ZERB or 9372, or you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. Help yourselves to Zerbinator Land. Find anything you need in podcasting and music right there at www.zerbinator.wordpress.com. I'm so excited that I've finished another episode of Shameless Self-Promotion Podcast. So again, this is Zerbinator saying, see you next time, right here on ZZRB Radio.